let's talk about views. View is a backend of our system. This is the backend of a Django system where the business logic resides. So previously, we have implemented this model, the task model, which you can see here. There are three fields: the name, description, and date created. We said that this date created is going to be auto-persisted in the database when you save a task, when you create a task. So this is going to be auto-persisted because of this property here, auto now add, which is set to true. Okay, so this is our data representation of our system. But for us to be able to work with this model, we need the business logic that can handle the data from the web page, which a user can actually fill and submit. And this this layer, which we call a view or the business logic, is this one that is going to deal with that issue. So we have two types of requests here. We have a get and a post. Okay, what are requests? You can see this request inside this parenthesis here, or the parameter to this function. We have two types of requests in Django: the get and the post. So the get is used to actually get some data from the front end, and this is actually used to get the data in the HTML page, which we are going to develop next. So the post is going to be used to send some data from the front end to the back end. Imagine you are trying to save or you are trying to register yourself on a certain platform. What you need to do is to actually fill your details on a web page and submit it. So this is the work of the post request. But the get request is used to actually get the page which prompts you to enter your details. For instance, let's run this server here, manage.py here, and run the server. After running the server, we go straight in the browser by clicking Control and clicking this link here. We are going to be taken straight into the browser. You can see we have gotten this page here. What we did is we send a get request to our backend application, which returns hello world here. So what we did is we have sent a request straight to the URL, which we have set inside here. You can see there's an empty URL here. It's an empty string, and it's calling this function say hello. So we actually put straight the base URL that is localhost and port 8000. And since we haven't provided any text inside here, we are going straight to that base URL in our in our backend here, in our front end here, and we get the results or an HTTP response which says hello world. So this is what you can actually see as a view. So we are going to deep dive into this view on how you can actually get the data from the front end. Okay, so let's let's remove this. We no longer want to use this say hello. Let's say def. Let's define a function to add a task, and we get a request here. Okay, so we know that to get an HTML page, we need to have a get request. So firstly, we want to return. And if you want to return an HTML page, you need to render here. Return render, and you put the request. After putting the request, you can put the HTML page inside the quotes. For example, let's say add.html. Okay, so we have referenced this add.html, but it is non-existent at this particular time. So what we need to do, you can see here our server is now throwing some errors because this add.html is not found. Okay, so what we want to do is to configure our templates first in the main system here. So let's go to the settings and scroll down, find templates here. Okay, so inside here we can say base directory and put the course and the folder which we want to put our templates. Okay, so this we have told our application configurations that at this particular time, if it reaches inside this Django folder, it should find a folder called templates. But at this particular moment, we don't have it. So we need to go ahead and create templates here. After creating these templates, let's add an HTML file here called add.html. Okay, and let's put just a simple HTML inside this, and let's say h1 hello world here, and save it. After saving this, we need to make some alterations in our code inside this task here. From the URLs, you can see we are referencing say hello, but we actually removed say hello here and replaced it with add. So let's go straight and replace say hello here and put add, the function which we want to call here, and save. You can see the server is now reloading and we are getting our URL. So if we visit this URL again, you can see we are now getting hello world, and this hello world is from our template straight here. As you can see now, this add.html is where we have hello world, and you can see with the casing here, the caps O. Let's replace it and save again. Let me close this, and if you refresh, you can see hello world is now corrected. So this is how you can actually configure a template inside your backend and to use it inside your view. So let's go ahead with our view here. Okay, let's close these settings and URLs, and let's close this template for now and minimize this one and collapse the project explorer there. So what it does is it goes straight into returning hello add.html. Why? Because the request type is called is a get request. So for instance here, if we want to actually check or to return this, we can put here if request, we want to check the request dot method is equal to post. Let's say we want to return this only if the method is post, and if it's not, we want to return an HTTP response. Return HTTP response here. I've removed the import, so let me say from Django.http import HTTP response. So and let's put something, say from get method here. Okay, so if you look here, we have implemented a logic to test if our method being sent in the browser initially is a post method. We can return our HTML says hello world, but if not, we are going to return this HTTP response saying from get method. Okay, so let's go straight in the browser and refresh. You can see we are getting from get method. Why? Because the method is not yet a post method, but it's still a get method here. So if we replace this post with get and save again and refresh here, you can see that okay, wait for the server to run, was it was refreshing. I think it's done. Let's go ahead and refresh in the browser again. You can see we are getting a hello world now. Why? Because by default the request method, the HTTP request, is a get request. Okay, so this is how the get request and the post request works. So you are going to see how the post request works in the next video, but I wanted you to be familiar with these HTTP methods so that we can actually work with them inside our view without any problems. Now you know about the get and the post method, or the get and the post HTTP request. So let's go ahead, and we want now to have our data representation inside an HTML page so that we can actually get the fields, and we should be able to persist them into the database. Okay, so here is what you can say this is our data representation. So we are going to take these two fields, as we have talked about this third field, which is auto persisted by the server. We have talked it, so we are not going to manually deal with this field, but we are going to use these two fields here. So we are going to need two different text boxes inside our HTML template, the add HTML template here. So let's go ahead and let's change this title to add task here, and put remove this hello world with add task. Okay, so after having this add task, you can actually put a form, and the action of this form is going to be post here. And after having this post, we are going to actually check for cross-site forgery using CRF token. So we are going to use this syntax here to pass CSRF token, CSRF and underscore token inside here, and something like this. If you don't provide this, you are not going to be able to save your data inside your application. It's going to actually check for cross-site request forgery token. So we have provided it like this, because Django auto generates it, and if you pass something like this, it is going to be auto configured. So after, we are going to have two different inputs here. Sorry, I have put the post is a method, not the action. Action is actually a URL to which this form should be submitted. So if you did something like this, let's have two inputs here. An input type is text. You can see name. We can say name. We want to actually have something like what is in our models, a name and description, for you not to be confused. And here the ID, you can put it as name again, and another input here is a text input, and the name is going to be description, and ID is also going to be description. Okay, so after having this, we are going to have a button to submit this form, button, and the type is submit. And inside this button, we are going to say save task, something like this. So let's go ahead and save this template and go back to our view. We want to remove all these logic here and here and outdent, so that this is going to be looking like this. Let's save. We have actually created our template that is going to provide us with the data which we want. So let's go into the browser and refresh. Okay, you can see now we have these two input fields here, and the heading is add task. Okay, so we forgot to put some labels inside our templates here. You can say label here, essay name, and actually put name or task name here. And on this, we are also going to put a label for and say description, and say description of the task. Let's save it and go ahead into the browser again and refresh our page. You can see we have this task name and the description. inside here. We have put as a text field here. You are going to learn about HTML in the next lectures. And if you actually want to quickly learn about HTML, go to some pages like W3 Schools and have a look for yourself so that you can actually cope up with these lectures. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look again. You can see we have this. We can actually put something and something here after you can submit, but you can see nothing is happening instead of just putting away the text which was put inside. Okay, so this is the first stage of our of getting the data into our backend. So the next stage we are going to check, we want to actually check if the method is a post so that we can get the data. Okay, so we can say if request.method is equal to post here. So what we want to get is a name and put it in a variable called name. We're going to say request dot post dot get. What we want to get is the name and the description as well is equal to request dot post. I'm using post here because already we've checked the method. If it's post, this is what we want to do. But if it's a get, you can replace this post with a get. So let's say also get here. This get in small caps is used to get the data from the input. So after getting the data, let's print this data. If the request is a request, let's say print name and use plus space, excuse me, yeah, something like this, and plus description, something like this. So let's save and go back to our front end. Refresh the front end here, cancel, and let's put a task as hello, and here is this is the task. Let's save the task and go back. You can see that the browser has refreshed, and let's go straight into our backend. You can see now we have logged the data which are getting from the front end, and it's saying hello, this is the task. Okay, so we are able now to get the data from the front end. Let's go ahead and try to create using this, trying to save it into our database. So our table is called task. So let's import it from models. From dot models, import our task model. Okay, so we are going to save this task using into the task model using this command here. After getting, we are going to say task dot objects dot create. Right, we are going to say name is assigned to name, and the description is assigned to our description here. So this description is the name is this name inside the model, not the name variable we put here. And the second name here, which is being assigned to, is this variable here. And this description is also from the model where we defined the description here. And the second parameter, the description, is from this variable declared here. Okay, so after doing something like this, we are going to return an HTTP response with this message: the data has been saved. Okay, and we can actually save this view and go back into our browser. Now let's refresh this. In fact, let's refresh this and put our task as let's say farming here with holes, something like this. And if we post this, you can see we're getting the data has been saved. Okay, this means that we have successfully created the task and we have persisted this data inside the database. So if we open our database, we are supposed to see this. So what I did is I installed an extension called SQLite Viewer here inside my Visual Studio code. You can go to these extensions and type SQLite Viewer here. And after installing this extension, you can see that the database is going to be, this sign of a database is going to change into something like this. So let me close this. If I open this DB SQLite, if I click it, it is going to give me a different view from just something else into this. You can see we have the representation of our tables here. And if you go to task, we are expecting to see farming inside our database here. You can see when we were doing, firstly, we saved the coding using the Django admin. Now we have actually persisted number 2, farming and with rows using our front end and our custom backend. So we have successfully created our first data persistent models. Okay, we have implemented this add view here. So the next thing which we are going to do, we are going to implement the list for so that we can display what we have actually added into our database. So let's define a new function here called list, let's say tasks or list task. It takes a request also here. What we are going to do is to get all the tasks. So we are going to use tasks variable is equal to then task model dot objects dot all here. And after getting these tasks here, we are going to return uh, render the template. Let's first say request here and render a template called list dot html here. And we don't have this template, we are going to create it shortly. And let's for us to be able to pass these tasks to the front end, we need to use a context dictionary, something like this called tasks. Let me put a variable called tasks here, tasks, and we map it something like this. We put our variable tasks, which we have used to get the tasks from the model here. So this is how the list view looks like, and we have to save it. After saving this, we go straight into our URLs. We add a path, and this path we are going to call it list. And after we are going to call the views, this view called views dot list task, something like this. But here there's something which I want to mention. You need to put a name variable here to your views so that they can be used to reference the name. Let's say add task, and here you can put a name as update task, something like this. We are going to see how important these names are, and it is easy to reference when you are trying to actually reference to any URL here. Okay, after adding this list, let's go straight into our templates and add this template called uh, list.html, which we have defined inside this view. So let's go straight into the templates and edit list.html, something like this. So we are going to have also an h1 here. Let's say list here. Sorry, list, and here h1 saying task list, task list. Okay. After having this h1, we are going to define an HTML table. And in the table, we have a head. In the head, we have a row. This row, we have a table head called, let's say, ID. And you have another table head called name or task name. So let's say task name. and another header called description, something like this. After we want to have another head for action, you want to edit or you want to delete. Okay, so this is our table head, and this is how it looks like. So if you save this, and if you go straight into the browser here and put append list in front of this, you're going to see we have ID, task, name, description, and action. This is the table shaping up now. So let's go ahead and have, instead, outside the table head, we are going to have a table, uh, excuse me, a table body, and inside this table body we are going to have a row. Okay, and inside the row we are going to have some columns. So we are going to use a for loop inside this, and say for task in tasks. This is ginger templating, and this for needs to end here. Let's end for. This is the syntax of writing the loops inside our HTML so that we can actually run through all the tasks which we have created. So for each and every task, we need to create a row. So we say tr, and this row is going to have some table columns, and inside these columns we are going to pass the data inside these two curly braces. This is how you can actually pass the data. So we can say task, which means we are accessing this task which is coming from tasks which we have passed inside our view here. So we have passed this data from the backend into the front end using this what we can call context dictionary. And you can see here we are accessing task dot, and we can actually get the ID, because the ID is auto-generated from our model by default Django as the primary key field called ID. So this is going to map direct to the ID here, and another table column which is going to take care of the task name, and another one for task description, task dot description, and the last one we are going to put our references here, which are two HTML references, a reference, and inside this we are going to put some code also, but let me put it as first is edit, and the second one let's put it as delete here. Okay, so if we save and go into the browser again and refresh, you see that we are now getting our tasks now in the browser. We have listed our tasks here, but this edit and delete are not yet working. So let's go straight and have a look here. So what we need to do is to actually provide a URL inside our template for editing, but now we don't have the logic to edit any task. So let's go and implement this logic inside our views here. And we are going to define a new function. Let's say update task. Sorry for the typo, update task here. And this is going to take the request. And for us to be able to know which specific task we want to edit, we need the ID or the primary key. Okay, so we can use PK here. For instance, if you want to edit your details or your profile on Facebook or anywhere online, you need to actually have your specific name, maybe which is being uniquely identified by your email. But here, the actually identification we have is a primary key and ID which is unique to each and every record. As you can see, we didn't have to provide the logic to increment these values, but you can see we have 1, 2, and it is incrementing, and each value is not going to be repeated. You are going to see it when we actually implement the delete, and we delete 1, task, you can see that it is going to go forever with its ID. If you save another one, it is going to skip that particular ID. So let's go straight and use this. So firstly, what you want to do is to get the task which you want to edit using the primary key. So we use this task objects dot we want to get using the primary key uh, something like this. After getting this, we are going to test if request method is post something like this. We want to get the description and the name as we have done here. So let's go ahead and get this inside here. Okay, I've just copied something above there, and after that, after getting this, what we want to do is okay, instead of getting these into variables, now we want to refer to these tasks. We want to change the name and the description of these tasks, so we can replace this, or we can put task dot name here and also task dot description here. So we are getting the name and the description from the front end. Okay, but it's not just general data. We are replacing the data from the task which is saved. So let's go straight and save this task. We can say task dot save. Okay, and after saving, we want to return the list. So we can use the return and from render from the same Django shortcuts. We can also import redirect here to redirect a page our list. So we can actually use this function. We have imported it in the Django shortcuts on the same line with the render, and now we can redirect our page using the URL name. Now you can see the good part of this. We are now referencing this URL directly using this name code. I have said update. I wanted to say task list here, task and list here. We can reference this list using this URL called task list. So let's copy it and go back into this and paste it. Okay, after pasting this, we have returned something, and now before we want to return the page with which prompts us to actually edit or modify the data. So return render. We are rendering our template using the request, and the template we want to call it update.html here. And after calling update, we can pass the context dictionary of task here. Okay, so the keyword is task, variable name, and the data is inside this task. So it is going to pass every detail of a certain task which is being queried here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. After saving, we can go into the URLs and put a new path for updating. So we can put path here and say the URL is update / what do you want to update. We want to use the primary key and say an integer data type here. So after this, we want to import the views dot update task, and the name is update task also, something like this. Okay, so this is the URL to update our task. Let's go ahead and save. So after having this URL passed, we are going to create a template to update here. So create a template, say update.html. Okay, what we want to update is the task. So everything is going to be the same as the edge, but we are going to change a little bit. So let's go ahead and copy the whole template here and paste it inside the update here. Okay, and save it. Let's close the edge. So let's go straight inside this. The method is not going to change, but this heading is going to change to update task. Update task here, and also here you can say update. It's just for reference sake. And after having this, we are going to get here, instead of save task, you can say update task here. And inside, we want to pass the initial value of this template or of this field, which is coming from the task variable and the name. So we know that there is already data, some data which was saved. So we want to get that data and then update it if necessary. So let's say task dot description here. Okay. So this is what we have changed inside this update template here. Okay. And at this particular time, let's go ahead. We want now, if a user clicks this edit, we want him to go straight into the edit. So into the edit URL. So let's go ahead and put this Ginger template here. We put URL and the name of the URL, which is here, the update task. We are referencing it also. So you can see the naming is very important. And after this, what do you want to pass? Want the ID, so want to pass the task dot ID. This task is from this query, so each and every task can go to the edit depending on a specific ID it's provided. So at the same time, let's save this. We will implement the delete when we get there. So let's go straight back into, excuse me, I've opened Gemini. Okay, let's go here. You can see we are in the task list here, and if we click edit, you can see page not found. Why is the page not found? You are can configure blah blah blah, update task and task ID is not defined. Okay, so let's go in the URLs and check what's going on. We have update here, it's fine, and the primary key here. So let's try pk is equal to and save again. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure out here. So this is the good part of it. We want to debug together. Let's go back, refresh again, try edit, page not found again. I don't know what's going on. Let me have some time to have a look here. Oh, I found out what was going on inside my tasks here. So let's go back to the code and see. It was something like this. You can see I have opened this percentage sign here, but I didn't close it on the end. So you need to close this percentage sign here and save this. Okay. After refreshing, we need to head to edit here. You can see when we hit edit, it's going straight into our update task, and the details of that particular task is pre-filled. So let's go ahead and say coding tutorial 2025 here and update a task. You can see the task has been updated and 2025 was appended now. So we have been able to update our task, create a list and update. Now we want to implement the delete part. Let's go ahead and try to implement it. So go back into the views and we want to define a new view called delete task. And after delete task, you want to take the request and the primary key also. And after this, we want to say task dot task is assigned to task dot objects dot get here, and we want to say pk is equal to pk, which means the primary key is equal to this primary key. And we can say if request method is post, we can ask something like this. We can say task dot delete. Okay, We are calling the delete functionality. And after deleting, we want to redirect to the list. Redirect this list. What is the name here? Task list. Okay, task list, something like this. But if not, we want to render a delete, return render a delete HTML template. So put the request here and delete.html. Okay, and put also the task here. So this is the delete functionality. We need to go into the URLs and put a path for delete and say delete here, and it is going to take also an integer primary key. You can call it pk here, and also views dot delete task here. What we need also is the name, that is delete task, something like this. Okay, so it's done. Let's save it. And inside our list here, we are going to pass the URL of a delete. So put something like this percent and say URL and delete task. And after putting delete task, we want to task dot id here, and close this. So if you put pk is equal to, or if you leave it something like this, it is also going to work. So let's save this and go into our templates now and add the delete template, delete.html, which we have passed inside this view. This delete HTML, this one. So what you need to do is to have a simple HTML here, and we can put it as delete title here, and inside this we are going to have a form. Okay, so we are going to say form in the method, not action. You can put method here is post, and put the CSRF token here also, CSRF underscore token. After putting this, we need to write something here. Okay, so we can put an H3 here, saying, are you sure you want to delete this task? Something like this, and put the task ID here. So we can put it as we can put it as task name here, task dot name. Right, after doing something like this, we are going to have the delete, the submit button. So we are going to say button, and you can say delete. You can say type is submit. Okay, so this is the implementation of a delete functionality. So we have actually put this question. We are going to see when we are dealing with styling of our HTML pages, but at this particular time we just want to show how you can actually implement or create data, save data, delete data, or retrieve data inside your Django backend. So let's go straight into our browser and refresh. You can see we can click edit here, or we can click delete here. Are you sure you want to delete this task coding? And we have the delete button. So what we can do is, let's go ahead and delete this coding and say delete. You can see we are redirected to our list, but in this case now we have a single task here. So we have actually implemented our delete functionality well. So this is what you need to do to actually create, read, and delete the data from this Django application. So this is how you need to implement it. You need to move all the steps using these views. So this is the backbone of your Django application. You can see we have written some business logic to actually implement everything. So this is all for this part of the Django CRUD applications. In the next lectures, we are going to discuss much on these Django projects, developing the Django projects that can actually work, like implementing some projects which you can put on a resume so that you can apply for a job if you want. This is all. Thank you for this lecture.